Well, good morning and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And Clyde, today we are giving thanks, just like my pumpkin over my shoulder says, but I'm not really sure you can read it.
It's a happy pumpkin. No,
Well,
I
it
can't
says
read it.
give thanks. It says give thanks today and every day.
Well, that's a good way to approach life in general, even in this very difficult year. You know, we're all looking for things to give thanks for, and sometimes you don't have to really look too far. For me, it's the fact that I have a mom who is 91. She'll hate that I gave her age. 3 beautiful kids and 2 beautiful grandkids. So there you go.
Oh, that is a lot to be thankful for. You know, I am just thankful for first and foremost, my Lord and Savior Jesus, but also I am so thankful for my family as well. I've got a really healthy son. We've been relatively healthy here, and no one's had COVID in our immediate family, so we are really blessed this year, and so we're
Yes,
just
you are.
thankful. Well, you know, many people should be thankful for, one thing many people should be thankful for is the roof over their head. And you know, a tri-state nonprofit organization is trying to make that a reality for more people in our community by helping them out of homelessness. But all this change starts with one step, and that's you. And to tell us more, I want to welcome Gage Woolley from Bethany House. Gage, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Mona. How are you today?
I am doing great. I am very thankful. But you know what? You all make others thankful who are in need. So for those who aren't familiar with Bethany House, tell us about it and how it works.
Yeah, so Bethany House is the Cincinnati area's largest family homeless shelter. We house anywhere from 150 to 170 individuals every day. Majority of those individuals are going to be single women typically and their children. So we're always working to make sure they have the shelter that they need. And then and our mission is really twofold. It's also shelter, but it's also finding housing and making sure these families have, finding a job and making sure our families have a job that they can make that income with, because if they don't have a job, oftentimes landlords won't rent to them. So we're working really hard to make sure our families have the shelter they need during these holidays, especially on days like this on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you know, this is so important, Gage. And so how many families do you help every year? And are you serving right now?
Absolutely. So every year we serve around 300 families in our shelter alone. Right now, because of coronavirus, we've actually moved our families out of our communal-based shelters, and they're now living in a hotel up in Sharonville. There's 23 families there right now, right around 92 individuals just in that hotel up in Sharonville. We also have 3 other apartment-style units that are over between Groesbeck and College Hill. So there's about 24 units there. So that's where we get, you know, all those families coming through. And the thing about the city of Cincinnati is we're really, really short affordable housing. You know, Xavier did a study a couple years ago that said we were short about 45,000 units of affordable housing for families in the city. It's there's a lot that's going to be, you know, happening throughout the time with families here at Bethany House. So the more that folks can, you know, really give back and support really would mean a lot to our families during this Thanksgiving holiday.
Well, all right, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about what people can do to pitch in and support.
Absolutely. So there's a variety of ways to help during these holidays, and the first would be actually providing dinner for our families at that hotel. So we look to have volunteers come pretty much daily to provide dinners. We have dates available for the end of December at this time, so if you're interested, you can reach out there. There's also things that we call Bethany House basic items. These are going to be the most basic items that every family needs as they exit shelter and enter to their own home. Things, shower curtains, towels, bed sheets, a lot of the most basic items like that. We're always searching for those items because we have, like I said, over 300 families that come through the shelter, but then we also have several hundred families that come through our housing programs as well. So all those families receive all these different items. So those would be the 2 biggest ways to help this holiday season.
All right, we're calling on you, Greater Cincinnati, to come out and help people who are homeless at Bethany House. And if they want to connect and get more information, Gage, where should they go?
Yeah, so you can go to our website either at bethanyhouseservices.org or you can email us at info@bhsinc.org. But that email is also on that website. So the best bet would just be to go to bethanyhouseservices.org.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much, and thank you for all you're doing for the people in our community, Gage.
Oh, thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, chances are a lot of you may watch the Macy's Day Parade each Thanksgiving, but did you know that this iconic tradition actually has ties to Cincinnati? Yep, that's true, and it's another one of those Cincinnati curiosities. It is the world's largest parade. For decades, as the turkey roasted in the oven, America thrilled to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. While New Yorkers take special pride in the annual gala event, Cincinnati has a right to share in some of that glow as well. The iconic giant balloons that float above the parade as it winds from Central Park to Herald Square originated with a man named Tony Sarg, who lived, worked, married, and is buried in Cincinnati. Born in Guatemala and raised in Germany, young Tony Sarg met an attractive heiress, Bertha Eleanor McGowan, when she vacationed in Germany. He followed her to Cincinnati, where her father's factory manufactured pumps and other plumbing supplies. While living in Cincinnati, Tony's career as an artist took off as he illustrated advertising, magazine covers, children's books, even textiles. As his artistic career flourished, Tony cultivated a childhood interest in marionettes into a side career as a performing puppeteer. Throughout the 1920s, Tony Sarg was a regular visitor to Cincinnati. For several years, he had week-long engagements at Cincinnati Zoo, where his Rip Van Winkle and A Night in Greenwich Village earned highly positive reviews in the local newspapers. In addition to books and advertising and puppets, Tony was invited to design display windows for New York stores. Macy's produced its first Thanksgiving Day Parade in 1924. For the first years, the highlight of that parade was live animals on loan from New York's Central Park Zoo. The maestro in charge of this annual extravaganza? Tony Sarg, who not only staged the parade, but coordinated it with the Macy's animated holiday window displays, which he designed as well. For the fourth parade in 1927, Tony drew on his puppeteering skills to create gigantic inflated marionettes. Instead of hanging down on threads, these mammoth puppets, blown up with air and not helium, were held upwards by wooden rods. Now, after their debut year, inflated with compressed air, balloons were filled with helium and released into the air at the end of the parade, with Macy's offering rewards for their recovery. Tony Sarg, creator of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, is buried with his wife and her family in Spring Grove Cemetery. And joining us on this Thanksgiving, I want to welcome the curator of these curiosities, Greg Hand. Greg, thanks for joining us. So tell us, was Tony Sarg Guatemalan? His name certainly doesn't sound very Guatemalan.
No, Tony Sarg's father was a diplomat. He was a German diplomat, and he was assigned to Guatemala, and so Tony was born in Guatemala, but he was quite a young child when his family moved back to Germany, and he actually met his wife while he was in the German army. He was a captain in the German army and resigned his commission in the name of love to move to the United States, and particularly to Cincinnati.
So, Greg, did Tony Sarg ever display any of his giant balloons here in Cincinnati?
No, and it's quite interesting because before Sarg moved to New York and got this gig with Macy's, he would put on these marionette shows, these puppet shows at the Cincinnati Zoo. And even after he was really kind of famous for putting on the parades in New York and some of his books and that, he would still come to Cincinnati to visit the in-laws. But when he did, he would put on puppet shows at the zoo. And so in Cincinnati, while all this stuff was going on in New York with the big balloons and all that, he was known as the guy who put on Rip Van Winkle at the zoo.
Oh, okay. Now, you said at the end of the parade they released the balloons. Did these balloons cause any damage?
No, it's quite interesting that with these balloons flying all over the place, and they're really quite large, and you can see from the photos just how big they were. It doesn't appear that they caused any damage. However, Tony Sarg had a bit of a sense of humor, and so he made a special giant balloon of a sea monster and had it floating in the water outside of his summer home in Nantucket. And so all these people from Nantucket, the summer crowd who came there for their vacations, were reporting this sea monster floating in the ocean outside Nantucket. And eventually he revealed the hoax and that he was behind the hoax.
Oh, wow. Okay, Greg, thank you so much for bringing us this curiosity. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks to you, and happy Thanksgiving to all of our viewers.
And coming up here on Cincy Lifestyle, if you're dreading the conversation at Thanksgiving this year, we may be able to help. Whether it's money, politics, or family gossip, we have a way to help you successfully navigate that dinner conversation with poise and grace. Yeah, that's right. All that and more in just a few minutes. Stay with us. Stuffing is one of the most important sides to the Thanksgiving meal. And if you're tired of using the same old recipe, we'll be teaching you how to make some French onion stuffing that will leave you coming back for seconds. I'm telling you. I want to welcome Chef Scott Deck with Funky's Catering. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, before we get into the stuffing recipe, quickly, do you have just some general tips so that Thanksgiving is not so stressful?
Absolutely. You don't want to be stressed out on Thanksgiving.
No.
I know it can be. So setting your table the night before, getting all of your vegetables and all of your meats for everything, for your turkey and everything set up the night before so you can just pull it out in the morning and pop it in the oven. It'll save you a lot of time the day of.
Okay, I'm a planner, so that is a good idea,
Absolutely.
Good tip. All right, so tell us about this fantastic stuffing you're going to make for us.
Something a little different than your regular traditional. So we have 16 ounces of butter here. So we're going to put that in a pan. That's really going to keep your stuffing nice and moist. The last thing you want is dried out stuffing.
Okay.
Here we have about 3 onions chopped up, 3 diced onions. Wow. So 3 large yellow white diced onions.
Okay.
We've got about 6 or 7 celery stalks all nicely finely diced up. We've got about 2 tablespoons of garlic. And then we're just going to saute all of that together and let that get translucent. Okay. So at the end product, once that's all sauteed, you're going to come out looking with a product like this, which is really going to give you that great consistency and ready to roast in the oven.
And it doesn't actually, it's not going to go that fast, but about how long do you saute?
On medium-low heat to medium heat for about 5 to 8 minutes until you get your onions where you should start to see through them. They get nice and lightly translucent. It'll cook down, and you'll start to really smell it. You don't want to get much color on them, just enough to really get your onions translucent. That translucent color is perfect.
Okay, that looks really good.
Yeah. So, and then what we have here is we have Klosterman's Bread, which is a great local Midwest family-owned bakery, one of the largest in the region. Yeah. So we can pick this up at Kroger's. Today we're using the white bread. You can also substitute out the wheat, which is another great option.
Okay.
So I just cut this up the night before and let it all dry out. So we're going to get the white bread going.
So do you dry it out in open or?
Yeah, just cut it up, leave it on a sheet tray, put it in a pan, just let it sit out in the open air overnight, and that's what's going to get you that nice crispy texture. Okay. This is about 6 diced up soft pretzels. So we're going to add that. It's kind of a unique twist to your regular stuffing.
That is.
So we're going to mix that in, and then you're just going to mix in your sauteed ingredients. So you're just going to put all this in your bowl.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're just going to get all that mixed in.
Oh my goodness. This looks
And then we've just got some beef stock. So I prefer beef stock. You can also use beef broth if that's what you have. You can find both at Kroger's. And we're just going to pour all that together. We're just going to pour all that in. So this is about 48 ounces. It's going to seem fairly wet ahead of time, but that's going to really cook down and keep your stuffing or dressing, as some people may call it, nice and moist throughout the cooking process. So we're going to add all this in. We're going to mix it up. Ooh. Which is going to give you this great texture. You can find this recipe on funkyscatering.com.
Okay, we need some of those gloves.
Yeah, these gloves are great.
Those cooking gloves?
They are. These are just some nitrile or latex gloves. You can find gloves now at Sam's Club or at Kroger's. A lot of these different marketplaces or grocery stores are carrying gloves, which makes it great for when you're doing all different kinds of cooking on Thanksgiving. It really helps you out.
All right, Scott, we have to ask the most important question of all.
Absolutely.
What is the difference between stuffing and dressing?
So, if you're from the South, as I lived in the South for a little while, they call it dressing. If you're from the North, they call it stuffing.
Really?
So,
that's the only difference?
that's really the only difference.
Oh my
It's a
goodness.
regional thing. It really depends on where you're from at in the country. So,
All right. So the South calls it dressing.
South calls it dressing.
All right, that must be, we called it dressing in our household. That must be because my dad was from Alabama. He must have brought it with him.
Absolutely. So we're just going to lightly spray this, or you can take a little bit of butter and line the inside of the pan.
Okay.
Put this in there, cover it with foil, 350 for about 30 to 45 minutes in the oven. For the last 5 or 10 minutes, just pull it off so you get a nice lightly golden brown texture on
Ooh,
top.
yes.
And then, so what we're going to do is we're just going to pop this in the oven.
All righty. In our magic oven right here.
And then when it's all done,
Oh.
we're going to pull this out, and you're going to have a gorgeous French onion stuffing ready to serve here at Thanksgiving.
Oh my goodness, that looks and smells fantastic.
Absolutely. Would you like some to try?
Yes, of course I would.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me get you a little serving here.
Because I am a big stuffing person.
Please try that out and let us know what you think.
I will, right?
This is a great unique way, or a great unique take on regular stuffing. Or
Literally,
dressing.
this is the best stuffing dressing I've ever had. This
Excellent.
is fantastic. I'm going to try. All right, I'm not going to promise I'm going to try it. My husband is going to say, I don't know, Mona, but this is wonderful.
Excellent.
And the recipe is on your
On our website, funkyscatering.com.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have any holiday parties you'd like to plan, please check out our website. We can walk you through all that. But this is a great recipe for Thanksgiving, a little way to change it up from maybe your typical stuffing that you normally do.
Oh my goodness, Scott, thank you so much
It's my
for being
pleasure.
here.
We've all had it happen. You're enjoying a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner when suddenly Cousin Maud decides to turn the conversation to politics, religion, money, the 3 topics you aren't supposed to mention in polite company. Question is, what do you do? How do you get that conversation ship back on course? I like that, the conversation ship. For that, we turn once again to Dina Schmidt from Queen City Etiquette. Dina, thank you for being here. The assumption is that politics, religion, money are 3 things that are taboo at the Thanksgiving table. Is that a generally accepted taboo?
Those topics are generally accepted as taboo when you're wanting to make small talk with people, or let's say you're at a work event. They can be okay if that's something that your family really enjoys talking about. But if you're in a gathering with people that you know have differing views, then yes, they become off topic.
Or if
off limits.
or if the family has a history of coming to blows over these conversations.
Yes, if they do, you want to try to avoid them at all costs.
All right, so let's get a little more specific. Say our theoretical Aunt Maud decides that she is in fact going to
Yes.
chew over the president, either for or against, doesn't matter in this particular instance. What do you do to steer that conversation back onto course?
Okay, you have a couple choices. You can be very direct. You can just turn to Aunt Maud and say, you know, I don't think it's appropriate for us to be discussing this here, in which case you're going to want to redirect the conversation right away. Easy things to do are to start talking about the food or the decorations, or bring someone else into the conversation and ask them a question to kind of diffuse the situation. The other thing you can do is do what politicians do all the time and pivot to another topic. Let's say Aunt Maud starts talking about the president and you go, oh, thank you for bringing that up. That has made me think about the president's travels, which reminds me, I need to plan my vacation. So Aunt Maud, where do you think I should go on vacation this year? And kind of, do like the politicians do and pivot it to something completely unrelated, but you are acknowledging that you heard what she was saying in the first place.
That's kind of linguistic judo, but I guess it works.
It works, yes.
So okay, in some families, some members of the family like to gossip about other members of the family. What do you do then?
If it makes you uncomfortable or you don't think it's appropriate, one of the things you can do right away is just say, why are we discussing this? Or ask the person, why are you telling me this? And then you can, again, segue into something else, perhaps bring up a good memory about that person. Why are you talking about Uncle Mark this way? I remember when he did this for me and he was so kind.
So clearly you need to know who's coming and you need to know what's likely to come from that individual and kind of be ready.
You do need to be ready. I would advise people who have the foresight to think of some topics that might not be controversial. And I know we used to always say talk about the weather, but then global warming went and ruined that for us.
Okay. So what happens if the family's gathered around the table and the food is rotten?
Well,
what do you do then?
okay, there is still the one bite rule, in which you're going to go ahead and take a bite, and if you just can't eat it, you're going to kind of have to play around with it a little bit. But you don't want to tell people how bad it is. That's really not something you want to discuss. You don't want to lie either, because you can get yourself in trouble if you start saying, oh, I'm so full, because then when the pecan pie comes out, you're stuck in a quandary now. I can't eat the pie, I just told them I was so full. You don't want to lie and say the food was good either.
Okay.
Find something else to compliment. You know, say, oh, the table setting looks beautiful, something like that.
Well, Dina, thank you so much for joining us. And oh, by the way, if people want to reach out to you and get more of these ideas about how to handle these situations, how should they contact you?
They can find me on the web at queencityetiquette.com. The other thing they can do is follow me on Facebook. I do put out tips and tricks throughout the week on my Facebook page as well.
Super. All right, Dina, thanks a bunch.
Thank you, Clyde.
Quick look outside on this holiday. Hope you are enjoying your time this holiday. We certainly do appreciate you having come to join us. Take a little time out from preparing the meal for later. We hope you have a great meal and a great day. Please feel free to reach out to us. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for watching our video. If you liked what you saw, hit that subscribe button. You can also check out full episodes of the show you've never seen before or watch your favorites again and again. And as always, make it a great day.